Hey guys, Jay here, and in this video today, I want to share with you guys a different but a similar build to what I normally do. If you take a look at my skill bar, you probably know what it is. Penance mark here, so it is a cast when stun build, but this time it is going to be on a mana stacker. So this is my Hierophant, only level 84. And I want to show it a little bit in action. So the core concept is still, first of all, cast when stun, so I still have the two core ring items. And then I want to stack a bunch of tankiness and then a bunch of mana on top of it, because mana is a way that you can actually scale both tankiness and also damage in the game with Archmage support. And we are currently a Hierophant, and yeah, here is basically the result. Hierophant is pretty nice in a sense that it have defense and offense alike. It also have a lot of AOE, and probably it is the only class that we can play this kind of build with as a mana stacker cast when stun build, because the Ascendancy give you 50% less mana cost of skill. The 50% less mana cost, if we used it with one particular support gem, which is the Inspiration, is going to give you a 90% reduced mana cost of skill. So what you are seeing here, I have 267 mana cost of detonated chain reaction. If I don't have those two sources of less mana cost, I would have something like 10 times this amount, which is like 2000 mana per cast, which is not really ideal at all. So yeah, it is possible right now to play this character. I have made a POE on like a level 100 character, and the number, to be fair, it looks pretty much the same as if you do a life stacking, not life stacking, but a normal cast when stun character. So it is either blood magic or life tap, right? And yeah, here is a mana stacking character. However, I would like to say that the normal version should be much better overall, because I do see I do see a few problems, a few like anti-synergy with this mana stacking and cast when stun. So, first thing first, if you take a look at Sanctuary of Thought over here, you gain 20% of maximum mana as extra maximum energy shield, right? And then also for the mana version, we need a lot of mana recoup, because we need to, recover mana in multiple sources. And I do think that for cast when stun, where a build we need to take damage, then the Mind Spiral is kind of like a best in slot helmet as well. It gives up to 20% of damage taken recoup as mana. This helmet also gives you a bunch of extra maximum energy shield based on your mana. So basically you have a lot of those, right? But if you take a look at my health and energy shield over here, you will see that I don't have any energy shield, right? Because I need to take this. I need to take this Agnostic. If I don't take the Agnostic, you can see I have a lot of energy shield on top of it, and that will bring a problem. So right now our HP is not too low, our energy shield is pretty big as well, and then our mana is obviously also very big. So there is nothing that we can really modify our, as you can see there, right? As I take off Agnostic, I already die immediately because I no longer trigger a bunch of cast when stunned, right? And that is a serious problem. So I need the Agnostic. But Agnostic just basically remove all my energy shield. Even I don't scale any energy shield from other sources, maybe a little bit in the passive over here, but only 6% and a bunch of intelligence, which give me mana anyway, right? So yeah, it's just a waste of a lot of energy shield, basically for free, as we are using the Hierophant and the unique helmet, Mind Spiral, right? We need to get Agnostic so our energy shield is becoming 0 and we can effectively get stunned every single hit, right? As you see, as I take Agnostic, there is suddenly no problem anymore, right? And that is the first anti-synergy. The second one is also around Agnostic, actually. So Agnostic, how it works is it will continuously check your character. It will check the health amount of your character, and if it is not maximum, and by maximum I mean literally maximum here, so if you lose 1 health, right, mechanically if you lose 1 health, and if the keystone here, if it check and you are not on full life, which is like 2600 here, so you lose like 35 health, then it will sacrifice 20% of your mana. It doesn't care how much health you need. It will always sacrifice 20% of your mana. So, you know, if you have like just as you see, I never basically lose life if I take Agnostic. I only lose mana, and that is a serious problem because initially my thought is if I go for a mana and life character for cast when stun, right? I think one of the very big advantage of this setup initially before I play the character, one of the big advantage is you can split the damage that you receive to half health and half mana. So you can recoup as mana and you can recoup as health. For 100, let's just say you take half the damage as mana and 2 mana and half the damage to health, then you take 100 damage, right? If you have 50% recoup as life and 50% recoup as mana, basically you double dip on the amount of recoup that you get from the damage. And yeah, because you take damage as both, then that basically gives you double the amount of recovery from recoup effectively. However, it doesn't work that way because we need to take Agnostic for the other reason that we need it for cast when stun to even work, right? And because of that, the mana pool always sacrifices itself to keep our health at 100%, as you can see here, right? So our health is like almost all the time at 100% because the mana keeps sacrificing itself to recover health because of Agnostic. So basically recoup life does nothing. And the blood notch jewel basically do nothing, right? So that is a very bad thing actually. Because right now all the recovery that we need to have, we no longer need any recovery for life, but we only can scale recovery for mana. And for mana, for a caster build right here, our sources of recovery are very limited. The reason why it is very limited is because for caster, for spell, we no longer can leech mana from any source at all. We only can regen and then recoup. That is the 2 sources. So there is not really any way for us to gain like any instant amount of recovery from any source in the game. It is literally impossible. And so when it comes to, you will see when I come to like a higher wave in Simulacrum here, you will see the problem. I think this character can pick out at like wave anywhere from 10 to 12, depend on the role, right? Let me just take 2 more points. I do think I still have like a good mana point to take. Yeah, still have. This is 10% mana, by the way. It's not 5% life because I have healthy mind here. This area is pretty interesting one. But yeah, for now, as you can see, I have 8k mana already. At level 100, I should have somewhere around 4k life and then around 10k mana, which is still respectable. it's not the best. Given that we are giving up on the rings, there's no way we can get mana from the rings. The belt, if you want to, you can get a normal belt, but Mage Blood, it is obviously just going to be the best defensively because it can scale the elemental flask to like Oblivion, and we can have like a lot of maximum resistances, which is extremely valuable and extremely strong. Where is the last two monsters? Okay, here it is. All right. So yeah, overall, I just think that this is not really a good choice for Casper Stun. I have always wanted to make a mana build for Casper Stun, but after this character, I think it is very safe to conclude that it is not a good idea to do Casper Stun with mana stacking, right? There is a lot of like new problem that you should not be having for playing as a mana stacker. I will probably respec this character into something else. The initial reason for me to level up a Hierophant is to try out a bunch of mana stacking ideas, and I think the other ideas should be better because yeah, we don't need to like intentionally take damage like this one. This is really not an ideal character to try to take damage as normal Casper Stun build need to, you know. So yeah, as you can see, as we move on, our mana problem seems to be more serious. We can partially mitigate that by having a strong eternal mana flask like this one, for example. It recover a lot of mana, and it does help if you want to. Normally you don't need to press it, right? But if you do hard contact, you kind of like to press this mana flask every 10 seconds, which is not too bad in my opinion. Oh, by the way, why is this mana flask here? Also, I do have a Progenesis is in my stash. I tried to use that, but Progenesis, as it mitigate the damage and, you know, basically convert the damage from hits into degen over time. Any form of degen, any form of damage over time will just mechanically always, you know, making you lose some health, and then if you regen from any other sources, then it will come back to full life, right? But if you have like degen, right, like Righteous Fire, I can easily sustain Righteous Fire with this build. But when you have Righteous Fire or Progenesis or Petrified Blood, all those kind of things, if you have it with Agnostic, it just means that you are losing 20% of your mana per second, which is extremely problematic. And yeah, just overall, a lot of problems that I found out with this character and with mana stacking and Casper Stun. Most of them is because of Agnostic, the way it is. So unless this keystone is reworked, so while not on full life, sacrifice 20% of your mana per second. Only if that work as it only sacrifice the same amount of mana that you are that is equal to your missing health, then that is going to be good. But currently, if it works the way it is, if you take 1 damage to your health, it will always sacrifice 20% of your mana. That is just way too much, right? As you can see, I started to lose a lot of mana over here. And when you becomes 0 mana, you basically, yeah, you need to move around to avoid some damage here to reduce the damage taken, basically, unlike the normal Casper Stun. In this current state, with this current gear, with a normal Casper Stun build, I should be able to comfortably just stand still in the Simulacrum until wave 15. there should be zero problem whatsoever. But here, I cannot, right? I just simply cannot. And overall, to be fair, I thought that the damage will be better, but it's not. It's not really. This is not like high wave. I think this is like wave 9 or 10 or something, probably. So this is probably the last wave that I'm going to do. Right here we have 3 monsters left. So these 2 bitches and then something else. We never know, right? As you can see, mana started to be a problem in this state already. So yeah, this is probably like my first and my last video on this character. So yeah, not too much really. We'll see the end of this fight. And maybe I will come to next wave for a little bit, and you will see in the next wave, probably I will just die from normal monster. The bosses actually surprisingly are less stressful than the monster. The reason being, well, the main source of like damage taken, I am quoting, right? The main source of damage taken is not really damage, but as you have many hits that is damaging you, and some of them make you lose like 5, 10 life, whatever, very tiny amount. Each of those hit will just drain 20% of your mana because of agnostic. Like effectively, mechanically, that is how it works. So that is just a very horrible thing to sustain through, because every small hit which just deals 20% of your mana as damage effectively. So yeah, it's just very bad, man. It's just very bad. It's not like it's not doable. I mean, this character, you can probably do like relatively tame content like tier 16 with the character, but you cannot probably push through the Simulacrum. You cannot push through like tier 17, and you cannot go like let's just say 8 mod tier 16 strategy as well. Probably you can't. Here you can see the damage already fall off, and we are having problem with killing Kosis already, right? The skill that I'm using is detonated chain reaction, but this is a very heavily nerfed skill. However, for Archmage, it is effectively 100% damage. I did try to do Volatile Death Seething as well. The Seething, numerically, it should be like 1,800%. So that's way more than Detonated Chain Reaction. However, the portion of the skill that is dealing spell damage is the orbs. It is pretty hard to see in here, but you know, in reality, the orb, it needs to spawn and it needs to travel. As you can see there, a bunch of orbs, right? It needs to spawn and it needs to travel. So any trigger in between the time that it needs to use to travel to the target, just not going to spawn any additional orbs, which means you do not have any damage from spell proportion from there. And the Archmage support only work for the spell proportion of the skill. It doesn't work when it explodes, right? So detonated chain reaction is just going to be straight better. Well, anyway, I think I have, talked about everything I want to talk about, and then also prove my point here with this extremely lengthy fight here. Every single time we only like chip away a little bit of damage of Kosis health over here. And let me see the mods actually. I don't think there's like extremely hard mods. Okay, so they have our lightning resistant, less effect of curse. Okay, this is actually a very bad wave, because less effect of curse makes our penance mark spawn less monster, which means less trigger, and this is a lot of damage, right? This is a lot of damage mitigation, the resistances. Is there anything? Oh, it is 90% delirious already, so this is very close to the end. I think this probably is wave 11 or 12. 90% delirious is very tanky already. I really want to finish this guy before I end the video. So yeah, we are very close. Ah, shit, another face. Another face. Alright. My son just entered the room, so we might hear a little bit of kid noise. Okay. This is a little bit painful. Okay, come on, please. Jesus, another one. Ah, shit. This is what, 20 minutes already, and yeah, you can see the damage is a problem. It's not as much damage as you would like wish for if you compare this to the other version of Cast When Stun, even on a budget, right? I have way more damage than this, like way more damage than this. So yeah, this is just like an experiment. Okay, that I did not even freaking got through the ES. Holy shit. Maybe because he is standing in the weird pillar over there. Come on. Come on. Come on, just die already, please. Thank God. Now, one monster. There you go. Alright. And if I start the next wave, from what we see from the last wave, I think... Yeah, it is only wave 10. It's only wave 9, actually. So here, wave 10, 100% delirious. And I think I would just die here. Straight. Straight just will die here. Yep. As you can see, the ceiling is very low because of the, interaction between Agnostic and then just Cast When Stun. The fact that we need to take damage constantly. So Agnostic is a must-have, but also is the biggest drawback of this character. And yeah, I don't really like it. So yeah, that is going to be Cast When Stun on a mana stacking character. Right? I don't think there's any reason for me to actually try to push this one to level 100 because the mechanic of Agnostic is not going to change. The more mana you have, the more mana it will drain on every single little hit. Anyway, so if anything, I think the problem is just going to be worse because our regen is scaling from a flat amount pretty much, and it's not going to get any much better. I do have a percent, yeah, 1% mana regen per second from the Cloak of Defiance. So our mana regen is like 900. This including the mana recoup. If it is not because of this dog shit ass thing, then I think this is going to be a good build. But because of this, there's no way we can do anything about it, really. So there's no way to counteract this but having more recovery. And I don't think I can have any more recovery, basically. Any other interesting things? So this area is actually pretty interesting. I want to mention it. Unnatural Instinct. So we have any unallocated small point in here. This combo with the Militant Fate is very, very good. Militant Fate here is giving me a lot of flat mana regen because I have already 90 devotion from this area, and then I have extra devotion from the point here. And I have basically over 150 devotion, and that allow me to have additional here 5% physical damage reduction, and this also 5% physical damage reduction. In POB, you'll see that I have the raw physical mitigation at like 84%. I think that is what the number in the POB looks like in the end from endurance charges. From sources like this, from sources like on the shield here, 8%, And so pure physical mitigation is actually very good here, even though I don't really scale armor at all. I don't have a lot of armor. I do have a little bit of armor because I take armor reflexes. Most of my gear are like evasion, energy shield, or armor energy shield. So a little bit of armor. But, yeah, the main problem is not really this. This is a very cool thing, but sadly it doesn't work for this particular build just because of one mandatory but heavy drawback keystone, right? I'll probably do something with this Hierophant because I like to try and test out a bunch of different things with mana stacking. One of them is probably going to be around this helmet. And obviously it's going to be with the trigger axe, right? Because if we are a mana stacking build, if we are Archmage, we are spending a lot of mana on our skill, on triggers, right? And that means we can sustain rage extremely well, which means it pretty much just enable the playstyle of Rage Vortex of Berserking like way more than it normally do. And yeah, maybe I can sustain like infinite amount of Rage Vortex of Berserking because pretty much I think I will gain like 7 rage for every 200 mana spent. If I have this same spell here, as you can see, I probably can get like even like 400 mana spent on one skill if I put it in a trigger axe, because it's going to be 8 links, right? And if I remove the, let me just see, if I remove the inspiration, you see I already get like a lot more mana, right? Just a lot more mana. So yeah, maybe that is going to be the next state of this character. It is going to be a trigger axe auto bomber build. So a little bit less zero button than this one, but it is going to be better, I know already for a fact. And so thanks everyone for watching. It has been a while since I have posted my last video on the channel update, and I am going to continue posting videos on this channel, but yeah, again, in a less frequent state. And thanks everyone for watching again. See you in the next video. Peace.